Everybody, how's it going? My name's Ian. This is Diary of an Ex-Marvelhead. So excited to show the second episode. It's been a minute, been a couple weeks. Thought we'd jump into it and bring on one of my special guests, good friend, Jesus, also known as Elusive Collectables. You guys may have seen him. I'm gonna bring him in here, and we're gonna do our thing. You guys have probably gotten a little familiar with it, so let's do our thing. What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, Ian? Thank you for having me. Good,
yeah,
man.
Of course, man. I'm glad we finally were able to do this.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming for sure.
It really has, man. What, a couple years? 5?
At least, yeah. I've been slipping. I invited a couple people, and I just never got back to it.
Yeah, man. That's awesome, dude. I appreciate you coming on.
No,
Excited about this. And I'm excited about this because we get to talk. We kind of have we have similar passions, but at the same time, we also have things we don't like. I think we kind of have other passions we've been drawn to recently. Is that right?
Yeah, that's fair.
Cool, man. Well, so just to kind of get into this, man, tell me, tell everybody else here. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, man. As far as my collecting journey with Marvel, or just collecting in general?
Well, let's talk about collecting in general.
Okay. Well, I've always collected die-cast, probably since like 2005 or so. I've been into Hot Wheels 1/6/4 scale mainly, and mainly Batmobiles is what I started with. I've always been a huge fan of the 1989 Tim Burton film, and obviously the Dark Knight Tumbler. Probably those are my top two. It all started there, man. And then as far as the cards go and selling, because I never sold. I would just buy, just hoarding, like we were talking about earlier. I would just buy as much as I could at the time. But somewhere in 2018, 2019, I started thinking about, man, what happened to those Pokemon cards? I was as a kid, I couldn't afford any. So I was like, man, I wonder what's going on with those. So I went on eBay, and I over the next 6 months, I probably picked up just nothing but PSA 9 hollows. I was obviously the 10s were super expensive even then, at least for me. But the 9s were doing like $30 to $40, and some of them were first edition. So I thought those were no brainers, And
Absolutely.
So that's how it started for me. And then when Logan Paul, maybe around 2020, I had maybe thrown in like $5 or $6 grand over like 100 slabs or something, and everything like 10x plus. So one of the things that made me switch over, man, is not that I've never been a fan of Marvel. I've always been a fan of Marvel. I just didn't know that the cards were a thing, right? Once I found out the cards were a thing, one of the biggest things for me, man, is I always was attracted to like the more rare items. So even when I amassed that, I know I did it for nostalgic reasons, the Pokemon, and just to fulfill something that, I wanted as a kid. But I didn't really, didn't like the pop reports, even then, were too high for me. So to me, it didn't make sense. I was like, man, if I could get, 50 grand out of this collection and target specific Marvel cards, I think I could build a better collection overall with that kind of money, if that makes sense. Like a $50,000 collection, a $50,000 Marvel collection, and the items that I was able to pick up, those items were a lot more rare than the Pokemon cards that I held for the same value. So that's what made me make that switch.
Cool.
And then I started picking up everything as much as I could in 2021. Obviously, I didn't know anything. Like I was new to all the sets. The only set that I remember as a child was 1992 Marvel Masterpieces. I remember seeing that in some of those white binders that people used to rock back in the day, the 3-ring binders. So I was always drawn to the Silver Surfer and that Thanos card, the Spectra, Battle Spectra gem.
Oh yeah,
Battle Spectra, excuse me. Yeah, so I went to IG, and at the time, I think it was Turkey Birdies. I'm pretty sure you know who he is. He was building a 1996 BGS set, or either Mint or better for the 96 mm. Oh. So then I saw the Silver Surfer Double Impact, and that one caught my eye. And then it just started like that. I was just digging as much as I could. I forgot that website that we all used that would give you all the sets and like the odds of each card. It was Jeff and something. What was that website? You know what I'm talking about?
NS List.
Yeah, NS List. So I was using that heavy, and I just always went with my intuition, man. Like I just picked the characters that I wanted, and again, I just learned as much as. And I've said this before, but just I'm pretty sure it's a broken record, but I just went with for the best characters. I noticed that when I sold the Pokemon stuff, everybody was just picking the Mewtwo's, the Charizards, the Blastoise, and I was getting left over with the Snickle Fritz, right? And it took me, I mean, those eventually moved because of the hype more than anything. All the smaller pieces moved. But I noticed that, oh, okay, if I did have to sell something, I would like to sell it as easy as it was to sell those bigger pieces.
Yeah.
And that was my thought process.
Nice, nice. So, so going back, you started off on die casts.
Yeah.
So what kind of die casts? I mean, you mentioned like the Batman, right? Because you like the
Yeah.
Batman. Like what?
Yeah.
Like there's a specific brand that you were kind of into?
Yeah. It all started with Hot Wheels. And then from there, I went circling back to some of the older sets for the Batmobiles. Then I got into the ERTL, the ERTL brand, Hasbro, Bandai, which in Japan it's Char Wheels. And then moving forward, once I started getting more into other than Batman, getting into like imports, for example, I started looking into some Japanese brands like Kyosho, Ignition Model, Tomica Limited Vintage. So some of these brands are just they're very well built models, especially for the size that they are.
Yeah.
And that's what I was drawn to. I've always been drawn to like clean detail, like just clean aesthetics.
Nice. So do you have some of those pieces still?
Oh yeah, they're all behind me. Yeah.
Oh, nice. What's your favorite one?
As far as the Batmobile stuff, or as far as the other stuff?
Any of them, just any of the die-cast. Like, what would you say is your top piece?
Ooh,
I guess that's tough. I mean, you asked me what my top card is. I'm like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
yeah, it's tough. I could tell you my favorites on the non-Batmobile side is probably R32 Ignition Model, gunmetal. And then I have an R34 that was a Nissan Nismo exclusive that was straight from the Nissan website in Japan that you were able to pick up. Those are ghosts now.
Nice.
As far as the Batmobiles go, it would probably be the Char Wheels from 2004 from Japan, and it would be the OnStar Batmobile. It was a employee exclusive for GM employees.
Nice. So I'm pretty ignorant to that stuff, right? I don't know too much about it. Like, do you grade that stuff?
No. I'm sure that it's possible now, but I've never had an interest in grading. I've always liked to display them. I've said this before, but with diecast, I usually would buy 3 of each. I would open one, keep one sealed, and then keep one for trade or sell down the road.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, if you have them actually sealed still.
Yeah. So every copy that I have, I also have a sealed copy of it.
Sick. Dude, that's awesome. That's badass, man. So diecast to Pokemon. Do you still do Pokemon?
No, at all. I don't own well, actually, I take that back. They're my daughters, but she has a little Pikachu collection, like little promos, nothing crazy. They're all hers. I just hold them for her because she's not old enough to take care of them.
That's me,
but
dude.
yeah, but no, I there are some pieces that I miss from letting go. Just probably one. Even though again the pop report is crazy on that, it's probably like 600 on the pop. It was a PSA 9 Grand Party promo.
Oh yeah.
So that I just love the font on that, the design they did. But other than that, no, I don't really regret even none of the Charizards that I sold. That again, they're so easy to get. Anytime you want some of that, I mean, obviously it's going to cost you an arm and a leg, but if you want it, it's available. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of whether it's available. It's a matter of are you willing to pay what they're going for.
And that's one thing I'm going to bring up too. Is it's crazy how something has such a high pop report, and it's not necessarily that rare, but it's damn expensive to get a hold of.
Yeah,
100%. It's very interesting. So I'll kind of get back into that a little bit as we go along here. So not much Pokemon. What would you say is your favorite Marvel set?
Oh, that's tough too, man. Because I'm right there with you. I'll give you my top 3 sets.
Okay, yeah, that's I'm the same way, dude.
I'm gonna start with the OG stuff. For me, it's 1995 mm. That's one of my favorite OG sets. The newer sets, I'd say 2030. Both the retros, 13 and 15 retro. If I could put those in the same line, and then on the third one, I would say it's the Rittenhouse Marvel Universe.
Marvel Universe.
The ones with the rubies and the
2011. The 2011 set.
Yeah, 2011 and the 2012.
2012 too. Okay, awesome, dude. Nice. Okay, cool. I would have to say that I'm pretty close to that. I love the 95s. I'm a Spider-Man guy. I love the Fleer Ultra Spider-Mans. That's it, man. Rittenhouse 2009. Yeah, last episode, Brian, I asked him the same question. He said 2009. I'm up there with him on that.
Yeah, I remember. Shout out to Brian. I remember when he built that set, all the foils and the CG. When he was doing the SGC or whatever it was. You remember that?
Ends. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he does. I think he has some PS. I don't know what he has anymore, but
yeah. Oh no, he's a mystery now. He went all Zero Dark Dirty. So,
Oh yeah. I get it, man. That's where I'm at, man. That's the whole Ex-Marvelhead thing, you know.
Mm.
Not the biggest fan. Love Marvel. Again, this is why I still wear the shit. It's just at this point, I'm not that guy that's so gung ho that's going to be every single set comes out, every single card is the greatest thing ever. I used to be kind of like that, especially as a breaker. People got to do that. I don't do that stuff.
I think it's the same, and sorry to cut you off there, but I do want to shout out. I see Ronus in the chat and I see Doom in the chat. So shout out to both of you. But going back to what you're saying, I think that's the same thing with everything, man. You see that, like, for example, even in the music industry, right? Like a new song comes up and everybody's, oh, that's a classic. Like, give it some time. We'll see if it stands the test of time.
There you go.
Yeah,
let it marinate a little bit, right?
Exactly. And I think that's what people fall for a lot. Like either, FOMO, or they get caught up in the hype. And a lot of times it's because they don't really follow what they like. They're just looking at what everybody else likes.
Yeah, absolutely. Tough question, because we're all kind of hitting the Rittenhouse and all this kind of stuff and favorite sets. Do you prefer one over Rittenhouse, Upper Deck, Tops? Do you have a favorite?
I have a favorite. I think it's very close. I think Upper Deck did the best they could with the Fleer Retro. I think that's the most amount of effort they put into anything, in my opinion, and it shows with the amount of inserts instead of the parallels. I think you mentioned this on the last episode yourself. Yep. But for me, it would be Rittenhouse, just because how much I felt like they truly cared about collectors and they had a passion for it, and it shows in the way they just did everything.
Dude, I have to agree on that. I love Upper Deck. We try not to shit on Tops too much, but hey, it is what it is. Yeah. They got some good stuff. They can't lie,
Yeah.
But no, I agree. Rittenhouse, especially with the art picks, I think it comes down to the depictions, the presentation that the cards have. They did so much better that way.
Yeah, the card design. Even look back at their the comic cuts that they have. Compare that to the comic cuts now. They're all over the place. The design is everywhere. It's like those were so super clean aesthetics, and the centerpiece was the actual comic cut.
Yeah,
like the surrounding card design wasn't distracting you from the cut. And if you notice, like even on Spider-Man Metal, which at one point I owned one of the ASM 300 cuts. It was a nice cut, but again, it was too busy. The border's too busy for me.
It is a busy border on that. In fact, that's one we talked about that earlier. If I collect comic cuts, I don't necessarily do that. I have a few, and one of them is an Amazing Spider-Man. It's from Spider-Man Metal, and it's very busy.
Yeah.
Just the crazy stuff that's going on the edges. Now so if you look at the Rittenhouse, it's got that thin border. It's white. Usually has like a little bit of maybe a little tiny foil border.
Yeah, and that the foil gives away what era it's from, right? It lets you know if it's silver, it's Silver Age. If it's gold, it's Golden Age, and if it was red, it's modern or bronze.
It's so good, and it's very thin. Now I'll give it up to Tops a little bit on that, because I've seen some of the Tops cuts they had.
The Doom ones.
The Doom one, yeah. No, it's funny. I'll bring it up. That you see that they numbered them 1-1.
Yeah. Yeah. And notice, even on that too, in the back of the Rittenhouse ones, they would tell you what comic it's from. Yeah. They don't tell you any of that. They just hear it's a 1-of-1, and you figure it out.
Oh, on the Tops, it doesn't say what issue?
It doesn't tell you what issue it's from. Yeah.
That's my gripe with comic cuts are my biggest gripe with Invincible. Do you watch Invincible or do any of that stuff?
No, I heard you and Brian. I looked them up as soon as you guys were mentioning them, just to see what you guys were talking about. But no, I'm not heavy into them. But I haven't seen the show or the movies or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's an old comic, man. Back to early 2000s.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I like Image. I've been an Image fan for a while. Spawn and Wildcats and you name it. So that's kind of how I got into it a little bit. But yeah, dude, the comic cuts on that shit, it just is horrible. Like it's just, yeah, it would sour you, man. You'd be like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen.
As far as the modern ones, I think the best that Upper Deck did was with the X-Men Metal. They weren't
X-Men
too
Metal,
busy,
yeah.
right? They were a little bit cleaner than the Spider-Man ones. They weren't as busy. I think those were probably, other than the Rittenhouse being number one, I think those were coming for two for me. It's just as far as the card design.
Yeah, and I really like the Claremont of tens that they did,
Oh, yep.
which is nice. It's kind of funny they did that in Spider-Man Metal too, but if you looked at the Claremont autos on Spider-Man Metal, it says X-Men Metal on the back.
I never noticed that. Yeah, I don't know. There was a
Yeah.
good. Speaking of that, we were talking about Carnage earlier. I don't know if you ever saw it, but I slipped up on this one back in the day, maybe like a year or two ago. There was a Carnage cut that was a Bagley auto, and the Carnage reminded me of that trade paperback Carnage image from Bagley, if you know what I'm talking about, the one that's all white. Yeah, and I wanted to pair it with that, but the guy was asking something ridiculous, as people usually do, you know.
Yeah.
So, and the other thing I didn't like about those is that there were sticker autos. That's the only thing that I had a problem with. There was too much, like, and I feel like that's what they're doing now. They're flooding everything with sticker autos.
Yeah, they didn't actually touch the card, man. That's just
Correct.
that's annoying. I mean, Topps does. I think they're listening a little bit, so there's hope there because they did do that with the MCU stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You notice that. But I want to touch on something, man. You talked about pairing. So I don't know if anybody has been on to Elusive Collectables on IG, on Instagram. He does a lot of awesome posts where he's pairing up cards. Dude, your pairing's awesome.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Tell me about that. Like, what goes into that?
So for me, and it's funny you mentioned that because other people like Sergio and Doom would ask me before, and for me it was, I would see an image that I really enjoyed, a piece of art, and then I would see where else can I find that same art in other mediums, whether it's comics, whether it's maybe a POG, whether it's maybe some kind of old vintage promo or something. And I always found that as a challenge. Like, for example, one of the ones you'd resonate with is the 1994 Flare Venom by Kubert, upside down, right? So I went after the buyback, the PSA 10 base, and then also the Pepsi in a BGS 9.5. So
nice.
But I am missing, to your point, I'm missing the comic newsstand 9.8 of that. Right. So I'm still going after that. But yeah, that I think every time, especially in the beginning, what I would do is I would try to visualize what the cards would look like photographed together. Like, I always like to do that. Aesthetically, I just wanted to see, man, how would they look together? How would they present together? And that's kind of like what kind of led me into trying to pair a lot of these things, whether it was a trio, sometimes it was more than three, sometimes that's only two. But yeah, I really enjoy that. I just enjoy the aspect of finding art that I enjoy and just other areas.
Yeah, dude, I love those picks that you do, man. So and you do a lot of graded stuff, I've noticed too.
Yeah, and what's funny is that I've only graded one time. Shout out to Doom. He helped me with my first grading submission in PSA back last year. But yeah. Most people be surprised. More than half of my PC is raw. So a lot of the graded stuff is just I bought it graded, and that's another thing that I understood early on, at least, and now it's coming to light. But I noticed that there was a lot of cards that people were like, man, a 9, I don't want it, it's a 9. And I'm like, dude, do you know how hard it is to get a 9 on that card and that set? And again, that comes with time, right? With really doing your homework and understanding how each set is effective. Like, for example, I remember when I jumped on your 1995 break for MM, right? And back in IG, you were the only one doing them in IG at the time. And I've always been after that 1995 Emotion Gambit by Patelis. So like getting those in a 10 is crazy. I think that's still like a pop 3 card, and how many years later
from that break?
Yeah, no. From your break, I pulled a Surfer canvas, I believe, and Wolverine by Scanlan Emotion.
So I'm glad you brought that up because that's been, dude, how long ago was that? It was on Instagram. So I don't think a lot of people understand, like, because a lot of people know that I'm on Whatnot, and that's what I do is, breaker on there. They don't know I started on Facebook.
Yeah, I didn't even know you started on Facebook. I heard from you and Brian conversation, but I just met you when it was IG.
Yeah, so I started off on Facebook. I did several breaks on there, and everybody was like, one of our good friends, I call him our good friends, he probably won't even watch this video. You know what I'm talking about? Anyway, I won't even bring him up. But anyway, he's one of the guys that brought me onto Instagram. Like, dude, you got to get on Instagram. This is where you should be doing it. and we started doing those breaks on Instagram, and that's where I met a lot of you guys, a lot of you OG guys, and that was like 5 years ago.
Yeah, at least, yeah. Well, you were the OG, man. We were coming in, and I was just, again, trying to learn from as much as I could from everybody, just to see what's out there, and where a lot of these cards where they were hiding, especially, as like the PMG at that time was the one that everybody was after, but they were overlooking a lot of other things. So I don't know. I not that anybody's asking for advice, but I always say this, man, like, go and look where people are not looking. Don't follow the crowd, because a lot of times, even now, everybody's into tops, to your point. And look, I won't shout out the tops. I always thought that they would make a great design for Marvel. Like, I used to mention this back in the day, 3-4 years ago with Brian, and I would tell him, hey, how dope would it be for black refractors from Marvel? But they overdid it. Even when I was having those conversations, I was hoping they'd had an out of 99, an out of 50, and out of 10, and a 1 of 1. That's it.
Yeah.
But no, they said, nah, we're gonna do 10 times that. And that's one thing Brian always said, and it's true, and not as extreme as he means it, but when everything is special, nothing is special. And I think that's what's happening with tops. The designs are dope. There's nothing wrong with it. Their designs are nice. I'll even say some of the artwork they pick is super dope. It's a hit or miss, but they have some good hits. It's just too many parallels, man. It's like, what are we doing? And then going back to what we're talking about, people calling them classics before they marinate. Like, some of these pieces are going for more than pieces that have more significant, whether it's historical value, whether it's nostalgic value to you, and still people are paying more than they should, in my opinion.
It's crazy, right? Because they overvalue something and they should be looking somewhere else, but yet the stuff that's selling the most is not as, and yours and my, thought of how it should be valued, it's not the same. And I love that. I always tell people, don't be paying attention to what everybody's following, because if everybody's following, they're going to pump the price up. That's what happens. Everybody's bidding on the same shit, and it's costing you more money, when the reality is those things that you're not paying attention to, that everybody's ignoring, those are the real valuable things, and you can get them dirt cheap right now.
Yeah.
Dude, and that's happening in this Invincible thing right now. I see a Pokemon situation with it. That's why Brian and I, that we've been doing this forever, and that's kind of why we dipped into it. I love the show too. I always bring it back to that. I kind of see that in that. And these guys, they chase an unnumbered parallel versus a 101. And they crybaby about these 101s because they have I think there's 8 or 9 different 101 variations, and they bitch about it. They're like, oh, there's 9 of them. These things are worthless. And they'll go and spend 3 or 4 times the amount of money on a non-numbered parallel that everybody has already. It's the craziest thing, man.
It is, man. I think, and I think that's by design more recently now, because of the fact that these, the systems that be are picking up a lot of companies, and I think there's just too much conflict of interest now. Yeah. And it's a dual-edged sword, the fact that we have an unregulated market, as people say, but because of that, they're able to take advantage of what they're doing, right? And it's up to us to really fall for that as collectors, because, like we were just stating, there's so many older sets that we could just go back to, and there's still so much you could do. So there's no need to pick up any of the new stuff. Again, let it marinate, and if you still want it 6 months from now, when it's probably going to be on a dip, right? Pick it up then. Like, what are we doing? But
there's no rush, right? Dude, so you mentioned something about the unregulated market. I like to dip into that kind of shit. Right? That's my thing, because I've been in this so long, and I see so much stuff going on. That's why I get irritated with some of these things, man. Tell me about that. What are your perspectives on that? Like, as far as the unregulated market and kind of what we're talking about?
Yeah, at the end of the day, really, let's call it what it is. It's companies that are creating a monopoly, right, in a specific market, and they're the bankers, and then they're cashing out with monopoly money, right? Because the cards are just cardboard, right? That's what the analogy is there, and we're paying real money for those fake cards, right? And now they get to pick and choose. They're buying up grading companies, so not only are they in ties or in bed with people that make the product, but they're also being the graders, and now they're also trying to control the auction houses. Like, that's too much control.
It's way too much, right? Like Fanatics, for example.
100%, yeah.
Dude, I was No, that is exactly it, man. Is they control everything. They're printing money is what they're doing.
Yep.
And they even control like betting houses. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I heard some kind of like what is it called? Yeah, just rumors about even like some basketball players being involved in that, and even in
Yeah.
poker games that they were cheating people out of money in poker games, all related somehow all tied together. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't surprise me, man, because as you know, just that's just human behavior. Like, power, absolute power corrupts absolutely, and I think that's what you see in time and time again. And it's. I think the best thing, I heard this from, I don't even know who the name of the person is, so I don't want to mess it up, but it's a watch seller. They're into selling watches, and one of the things that he always says is, before you buy the watch, buy the seller. And that's the best thing to do. Like anybody that's dealt with you, that's dealt with me, that's dealt with multiple good people in this hobby, Brian, knows that if you buy something from us, it's going to come in the condition that we said it would be, and you're getting a decent price most of the time for what we're selling you. Like we're very transparent, and there's a lot of people that have a lot of inconsistencies. And I don't blame that. One of the things I thought about all the time is, even myself, I was out of the industry that I was in when I jumped into this, because even though, like I mentioned to you, my primary goal was to build a super nice collection, but at the same time, let's be honest, I also saw opportunity to make money and get my collection for free, because the market was what it was at the time. But I think the difference is that my original intent is to collect, and my selling is secondary. And a lot of people came in here to sell, and they have no passion towards the collecting end. And that's what's happening, right? And these are the same people that all they do is they have a business, and I'm sure they do great, but they hold cards from you, even though they're not even collectors themselves. Now, if I want a Venom from you, let's say, I know that you're either not going to let it go, and if you do, it's going to be I have to give you a crazy trade, because you actually collect. You care about that card. It's not so much because you're holding it over me. It's because you want to keep your card.
That's the unfortunate thing about kind of the hobby growing so much, right? It's just you have those people that they see the opportunity there. I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, if you come into this thinking that you're just going to hold cards until you die, that's not going to do you any good, right? It's you eventually you want to keep it because you like it, like I do. I love my cards, man, and I'm going to
Correct.
I'll probably pass them on to my kids, to be honest.
100%. And the biggest tell, by the way, to your point is, just I think Ron has put names. Those that have eyes can see, and those that have ears can hear. So just you could figure it out if you're smart enough, right? But another of those things, it's the fact that, like, oh man, I lost my train of thought there for a second. But go ahead. I was going to say something to your point, but continue.
That's the whole thing. Is there are collectors, but you still got to make money too, right? I mean,
there's nothing wrong with making money, but here's what I'll emphasize this even more. It's the fact that if you noticed, a lot of the best businesses that are out there that are ran very well, it's because the person that's owning it has passion for what they do in that industry. So if you have passion and you actually love what you're doing, that's going to come off, right? Like Absolutely. That's going to be obvious to people. And it's also going to be obvious to people when you're selling.
Absolutely. It is. And people trust it. And it's, it kind of goes back to like the Whatnot thing, man. There's so many people. I mean, you used to be on Whatnot before, right? Like a little bit.
I tried it for 6 months. I wanted to get that 1,000 sales, and for that, because Brian always told me, hey, get those 1,000 sales, because then you get paid a lot quicker. So I grinded it maybe for 4 or 5 months. I didn't do too many shows. I was more about quantity over quality over quantity, but also because I didn't have as much product as other people had. Like I wasn't buying product to rip. I was just selling, kind of like what you said, selling what I wasn't planning on keeping.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't a breaker type situation.
Exactly. Yeah, it was more of like unloading what I don't want to keep.
It's become such a flooded place with people that are they're just not authentic anymore.
Yeah.
There's still OGs on there selling their stuff. You like you said, it comes back to you. If you know your seller, that's exactly who you're going to know them.
Yeah.
And you're going to know that these people are just there to fill a break. They're in a card shop somewhere. They're mandated to go in there and make the breaks happen so they can get their allocations and whatnot, right?
And one of the biggest tells for me, going back to that point too, is how do they react when you pull a normal hit? Right? That's to me the dead giveaway. It's like
screaming and yelling,
yeah,
alarms and shit going off.
yeah. Whoa, what's going on, bro? Like, did you just pull a 101 or what's? And then you look and you're like, oh, what's not 100 fucking Hulker or some other random character, you know? And it's like, wow. I mean, I get it. It's a dope piece, but don't oversell it, you know. And I think people, especially whatnotters, I think people forget that people could see through that, man. More times than not, people could see through that. They might think people don't, and I'm sure some, maybe very little, don't, but most people do. Because let's be honest, also, like the people that are naturally drawn to this hobby, there's a lot of smart people in this hobby, bro. Like
there are,
right?
Absolutely.
So that alone lets you know that you're dealing with people that are not your everyday normal people. So they're gonna see through the BS, which is what shocks me the most. You know, that they still put up that facade.
It's just there's just so many people coming in and going that I think that's just naive. Somebody who's brand new that they're preying on. You know, they just don't know.
Yeah.
And of course, like we talk about the sheep, they just buy whatever because it's there, and it kind of gets into the it kind of comes into like a community almost, where it's like I'm part of the community. I've got to buy. I don't care what it is. I got to just support my friends and all that. And it's like that's cool and all. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, you got to think for yourself.
100%. And that's I think something that you're saying now, but we've always been saying for a minute, man, is do your own research, do your homework, go after things you enjoy. Because again, like, look, let's also be honest, because the state of the world isn't very pretty right now either, right? And if all your goal is just to, as a business, hold all these things because, whatever your plan is, tomorrow we could go into World War III and everything goes to shit. No one's going to buy shit if that happens, right? So collect what you like, because like we always say, that's if you get stuck with that kind of stuff, man, it's going to be, I mean, I've seen some reels about Pokemon collectors that have like no exaggeration, like 1,000 of the same slab. I'm like, what are you doing, bro? Like, and it's modern on top of that. Going back to what we're talking about, like, I don't get the logic. And look, it works out. But this is, again, it goes to show that it's all about a business to them, because when it's all about a business, they always talk about percentages and their return on their ROI, right? Like they're happy with 10.
Right away.
Yeah, they're all about their 10 to 25% ROI. And that's what they do with the new product. Hey, I'll buy the new Pokemon product. I know that it's a rinse and repeat. I'll grade it. I'll get certain 10s. I'll sell it, make some money, and keep on going. And that's cool if you're using it to fund the hobby. But if, again, your sole purpose is just to fleece, then, it is what it is.
Yeah, you're the cancer. So one thing I wanted to do here, this is different than the last time. I wanted to open up to question and answer. We got 15 people in here hanging out with us. Appreciate everybody. This is the time I kind of wanted to set aside a little bit, because normally the way that I run this is I don't like to acknowledge everybody in the chat. I'm sorry if I haven't said what's up to you guys. It's just simply because this is going to be something a lot of people are going to watch later, and when you're just constantly talking to the chat, it distracts you a lot when you're trying to watch the video. So, but I do want to do Q&A. So I'll give it the next couple of minutes to you guys who in the chat, if you want to throw some questions out there for Elusive.
Shout out to Drake. I didn't mean Hulk as a random character. I mean a Hulk out of 100 cards shouldn't get that response. That's what I meant. There
you go. Anybody else? Throw them out there. You guys like my coffee cup? I finally got one. I don't drink coffee though.
You got a logo on it? You gotta put that Cards and Metal logo on it, man. What's going on?
I know, dude. I just barely got this though, because my kids broke my other one. When you got 5 of them, they destroy everything you got.
Yeah, that's what I forget, man. Shout out to you, bro, because you've always been about your family, man. So salute to you. I've always noticed that with your breaks. Your wife's always been very supportive of you, and your kids are always involved. So I like that, man. I appreciate the fact that your family has always come first, from what I've been able to tell.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Anybody? No questions? That's all right. You don't have to. We'll give him a second. But yeah, dude, it's been an interesting ride. So as far as Marvel, let's see. There we go. We got one. Boom.
What are the next Black Refractors? I don't know, man. The next black refractors is going to be crazy. Maybe I would say the next black refractors are when they figure out what they're doing more, and they go more towards the collectors, which I don't foresee as far as tops. But if you're talking about just in general, I would say that the best chance we have at getting some nice product would probably be some Batman stuff from Upper Deck coming soon. Maybe they'll knock something out of the park. And again, they're going to have a lot of misses, but they're going to have some hits, I'm sure. And there's always one or two nice cards from a set. Not the whole set's not going to be bangers, but you got to be picky. We were talking about this earlier. You got to be very picky.
And we got Keith. How do you feel about these Upper Deck dinosaur cards? What are you talking about, bro? Do we have new ones coming out?
Nah,
are we talking about 2015?
That's an inside joke he's talking about.
Actually, you know what, dude? It's been that many years. I do know about that joke.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's funny. Okay. No, I actually was into 2015 dinosaurs. I used to buy physical boxes of that shit. I was chasing the RAR card. You know what the RAR card is?
The which one? I'm sorry.
It's called a RAR card. RAWR. RAR.
I might have seen
RARs. It does a dinosaur yell like when you.
Oh yeah, gotcha. Oh yeah. What the
yeah, dude. They had sketch cards. They had I think the RAR card. I think it was an actual relic, like had like a dinosaur tooth or a piece of bone or some shit in it.
Yeah, that's crazy how like the things that during that time, man, where everything was going very well as far as selling. Not that it isn't now, but the prices were crazy back then. Where you would be able to sell something for, if you knew what you were looking for. And I remember like seeing even people trying to do like animal cards, like animal TCGs, like some kind of discovery shit. You know what I mean? Like, what's going on
there, dude?
Yeah. Like,
have you seen the woke ones where everybody is offended? Have you seen that?
I've seen that. I've seen the divorce cards. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are all funny. Like, and you did some of those things. I think some of those random cards or obscure that people don't look into. You were breaking some of those sets too. I remember that.
Oh yeah, dude. I've dipped into those things. I still like to do that. I like to think out the box because everybody's just so focused on Marvel. It's just like Marvel. Doesn't matter what it is. Or tops. Tops is the big thing. It's just tops. SpongeBob, or it's whatever the next set is. We're gonna just hit this shit until it just is just gone, pretty much, right?
Yeah, Brian has the first question. He says, for future viewers, any advice on how to get or avoid getting preyed on?
There you go. It's a good one.
I would say the biggest thing for me is, again, going back to what we're talking about, is buy the seller before you buy the card. And then make sure, if it's something that's raw, make sure you ask for additional photos as much as you can. Also look at comps. Go to TerraPeak and look what that last card sold for. That doesn't mean you're going to get it for that price, but at least it gives you a range of what it should be worth. And, that gives you a good idea. If you see three comps, and they could be scattered. You could see a comp of 100, 150, 200. Cool. Well, then that gives you about around 150. Just get the little average out of that and go based on that. But at the end of the day, it really comes down to how bad you want the card, right? If the comp is 150, but they have it up for 175 or 200, and it's not something that comes up every day, then grab it. But if it's something that you can hold off on, then you could possibly wait to see if you could get it for a better price.
Yeah. How many times have you overpaid above comps just because it's a card you like?
Oh, 10 or 12 times.
Yeah, I'm counting.
Yeah.
So Armando says he's talking about how Tops is not for the regular folks, more for breakers to buy boxes. You think it's going to get worse for collectors who no longer get boxes?
I think again, I think more and more it goes back to what we're saying. I think it's the collectors, the minority now, and the majority is going to be either sports people / investors / breakers. I think that's the ecosystem, so that's the people that are going to be, that's where the money is going to be at. They're going to make sure that those cards go for whatever they want the perceived value to be. And you see that a lot. Like you see that you were talking about those 101 Doom cuts earlier. If you saw some of those prices, let's be honest, man. Like nobody was paying those prices, even for ASM 300 cuts. I think those were going for anywhere from 500 to maybe 1,500 for. I think shout out to Subby who picked up that the Todd McFarlane ASM 300 cover Spider-Man. Remember? And I think he paid for that cut maybe 1,500, and that's probably the grail of grails from that set, in my opinion.
That's a real grail, period.
And he got it signed by Todd McFarlane, and he got it in the CGC yellow label. That's the label we no longer get. So there's so many things that line up for his card that, again, and that's what I look for. Like there's so many things. It's not just about the card art, the character. It's the card design. It's the condition. It's if it's numbered or not. Like it's so much that goes into it, you know. And you got to make sure that whatever you're going to pay a good price for checks a lot of your boxes.
Absolutely. Good deal. I don't know if we have too many more questions. So
Nice Jug says over under how long Spidey Jesus store stays open. I'm not sure, man. I mean, I think from what I've heard, and I think who told me this was Valor Comics. I think that's one of their close friends. Shout out to Valor Comics. They owned a comic store in the past, so it's not like he's new to that. I'm pretty sure he's a good business person, and I'm sure he's gonna know how to run it. Yep. So yeah, I don't foresee it not. I mean, it just really your question should not be that. The question is really how long is modern product going to be popular? I think that's the question you're asking.
Yeah, and you know, and Justin's a good friend of mine too. I actually really like the guy, and I hope he does well. And dude, card shops are thriving, which is amazing to see. I mean, just here locally, I've got to know my LCS owner pretty well. In fact, I've gotten cards from them to do breaks with. I shouldn't even say that, but they're awesome, and they just opened up their third store here. That's how well it's thriving, just in a local area that it's not like we're a metropolis. You know, we're kind of still a small city. So yeah, I mean, I think the hobby is only thriving and it's going to get bigger.
I agree, but going back to this question, I think it really comes down to how the LCS or the card shop is ran. Meaning, like you can't just provide product because product is available online at all times. You have to bring something unique, right? You have to bring either a community. That's probably going to be your best bet. Building a community around your card shop, making sure that you have regulars that come in, you have people that do trades inside your shop. Like your shop has to bring more value than just the cards and the product, because again, then that's like, you know, what's happening to the what's it called, the Nordstroms of the world, the Macy's of the world. Like you can't just sell stuff because people could just buy it online now. You have to bring more value than just that.
And collectibles, it's possible, like you said, if it's ran right. You absolutely can, because there's another card shop here that's not doing well, and it's just not ran right. So
there you go. Yeah. And a lot of times it's a reflection of the leadership, which is usually the owner, you know?
Yeah. Well, sick, man. So any other last words, man, before we head out here? I mean, do you have, I know we've, not to be a broken record, I mean, you mentioned quite a bit about, you know, people that are coming into the hobby, kind of give them some advice on what to look for, and, you know, kind of when they're trying to buy cards, what kind of seller to look for. Any other, to these guys that are just coming into this hobby and seeing that OG guys like us were not so much the Marvelhead like we used to be. Yeah. We don't like necessarily what Topps is providing, not yet anyway. You know, what do you have to say for these guys? Any advice?
Yeah, I would say, man, and again, just in the whole general collectible space, is always look what that same money could buy you in another medium. That's my biggest advice. You know, as some know, just based on my IG, I'm heavy into foreign comics, and foreign comics aren't expensive. I mean, the keys are, but again, I'm not a key person for the most part, because keys to me are boring. You just see the same stuff every day. And look at those pop reports for ASM 300 or whatever in the US, whether it's newsstand or not. The pop reports are ridiculous. So for me, I go again for just straight rare stuff that whether it's from another country and that's why it's rare, whether because it was printed less, whatever the case may be. But I would always say, hey, if I'm about to buy $1,000 card, what does that $1,000 buy me in this market? What does that $1,000 buy me in the coin market? You know, like some people are paying $5,000 for one of ones. You know, that's a 1 troy ounce of gold right now, 24 karat coin.
Yeah.
Right. So again, what does that money buy you in other markets? And cross-reference, you know, because you might find something that you love just as much that you were about to pay $1,000 for it, but you go, you know what, my $1,000, you know, I'll be a better steward of my money if I put this $1,000 here.
Awesome advice. Yeah, it's what you got to look at, especially when us collectors, us hoarders, right?
Yeah, picky hoarders.
That's basically what we are. you got to look at that in that perspective, is what can this really do for me? Because sometimes people, I've seen it, man. I literally know somebody, and I wish they would have kept their collection. They went so hard into 2013 and 2015 retros, and they went so hard that they weren't able to weather the storm to where the boom came, and they lost everything. Literally lost everything.
Yeah, man, it's tough. Yeah, it's tough, man. Yeah, man. Other than that, no advice. Just enjoy it, and if you're not enjoying it, take a break.
That's what we're here for, man.
Yeah.
Right on, man. Hey, I appreciate you coming on here. I didn't want to keep this too much longer.
No,
I want to have you on again sometime, dude. It's something I want to keep going on. There's a lot I probably could have asked you. I'm gonna think of later. I'm gonna think, oh shit, I should have asked this earlier, but it happens, right?
Yeah.
We got 45 minutes. So, dude, I really appreciate you coming on. I appreciate everybody for stopping by, hanging out in the chat. You guys watching this later, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like the video, go over to, let's see, right here. I can't point to it. Elusive Collectables on Instagram. Are you anywhere else, dude?
On YouTube, on Whatnot, on eBay, all the same, on every platform.
Are you still doing podcasts?
I haven't done one in a while. Shout out to Doom. He dipped on me. I don't know what's going on. So no, but we were doing the NSDC. It's just that Sergio has been super busy in the restaurant space. But originally,
for a while, man.
Yeah, but originally it's me and Doom are the ones that started. You know what I mean? So again, Doom, we don't need to wait for Sergio, dude, to drop another episode. You know what I mean? The people want it. So I know you're a big timer now. You know what I mean? But just remember the old people. Yeah. Oh yeah. But you asked me about my favorite card, man. I got a couple. Do you mind if I show a couple?
Yeah, let's see them. Let's check it out.
I'll show you one from every set that I mentioned to you that I enjoy. So the first one would be that Gambit that I mentioned.
There you go.
That 95 mm motion. So I really enjoy that. That's I've always wanted that card from the beginning, and I'm glad it's in my hands. So that's one. Let me show you one more here. Here's another one. I've always been a huge fan of this Nightcrawler artwork. Yeah, I think this still pop 2 or pop 3 till this day. Yeah. And the last one, and it's just, this is shout out to Doom again. He's the one who helped me grade this, but that's a PSA 10 75th gold border server.
Yeah, those are still, those are hard to get, and people don't even know about them.
No, I mean, yeah, they're going again and again. That's what we were talking about earlier, right? Like time will tell. Look at, I had 3 at one point. I only own 2 now, the 10 and a PSA 9. I sold a raw to, shout out to Ronis. What's his name? What was his name? On IG, I can't remember his name, but he or his IG name, but he does comics. He bought one off of me for a certain price, sold it for more than what I sold it for, and people thought he overpaid when he bought it for me. And again, those are the things that those are the tells. If you see, like, what are holograms still going for? I think I saw the Gambit, which I'm still after, by the way. I put a nice bid on that, and it did over 1,200 or 1,100. So that gives you an idea of what are the items that are still retaining value over time. Not because someone told you they are, but because comps keep reflecting it.
Yeah, absolutely. Dude, those are sick, man. Well, if anybody has anything to trade, talk about, I'm sure Jesus is open to any conversations. I am as well. So you guys hit me up on Instagram. You can find me on, I'm in the groups a little bit on Facebook, but you can always hit me up pretty much anywhere on YouTube, Whatnot, Instagram, all the social media places.
100%. Thanks again, man, for having me in, and it was a long time.
Dude, I appreciate you. Thank you for coming on. We'll have you on again, man.
Thank you, man. Have a great night.
You too. Hey, everybody, we'll catch you guys later. I will be doing another podcast earlier this week. We'll be having Gray Malkin Gaming. If you guys know who that is, that's who we're going to have up next, and it should be a pretty good conversation. So everybody, enjoy the rest of your evening. We'll catch you all soon.